Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott from the Fire Note, and you are in the Prog Corner. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about my favorite album of all time. Yes, it is the most divisive of albums, not just in the Yes discography, but perhaps in the entire Prog discography, and that is, of course, Tales from Topographic Oceans. I know a lot of people don't like it, and we're going to talk about why they're not entirely wrong, but why they are actually entirely wrong in a little bit. But first, a little background in case you don't already know. June 72, they're on a high, they're recording their masterpiece Close to the Edge. Bill Bruford decides he's done. They can't go any further. He leaves the band, joins King Crimson. The search is on for a new drummer. They land Alan White, of course, he who had played with both John Lennon and George Harrison. That's not too bad a duo of things on your CV there. But anyway, he's got exactly 3 days to rehearse for the Close to the Edge tour. He actually had a little bit of a head start in that he had sat in actually a couple times, particularly on Siberian Khatru, I guess, when Bill wasn't around. Alan was living with Eddie Offord, the engineer, producer extraordinaire. So there was a lot of kinship already, but he had 3 days to prepare for the Close to the Edge tour, and he does a great job. And now it's time for the band to come up with material for their new album. In particular, how do you top Close to the Edge? And the idea was born that maybe we do 4 Close to the Edges in terms of a side-long epic for each side, 1 song per. And so John, in particular, looking for inspiration. What's this going to be about? He attends Bill Bruford's wedding. There he meets up with Jamie Muir, who was also in King Crimson with Bill, hands him a book. It's the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yoganandra. Paramahansa Yoganandra, I think, is something like that. There's a footnote where on one page it's talking about these 4 shastras, or these 4 different bodies of Hindu texts, and all of a sudden a light bulb goes off with John. That's it. That's how that's what this next album is going to be about. Originally he's calling it Tales from Topographic Oceans. Something about Fred Hoyle, the astronomer and science fiction guy, came up with, and Phil Carson from Atlantic Records told him, hey, that sounds like Topographic Oceans. So, the name is not organic. The idea of these 4 songs on 4 sides is not organic. Why? Because the limitations of the vinyl dictating approximately how long each song is going to be during the writing process. That's exactly what happened. They didn't have enough material for a double album. They had more than enough for a single. The battle was on, and Rick Wakeman in particular was not completely sold on this idea, but apparently he went along with it. During the recording, he becomes more and more disillusioned. Instead of their usual recording at Vision, they decamped to Morgan Studios, which was the first place in the UK with 24 track. John and Rick wanted to record in the country. Rick and John both thought it'd be really neat, especially John. He wanted to be outdoors in a tent. Steve and Chris, they wanted to be close to home. They like sleeping in their own beds. Alan White, as always, broke the tie, so they recorded in London. But to appease John a little bit, they brought in hay bales, and they brought in cut up farm animals and stuff like that. It was just insane. I guess Rick was putting amps and keyboards on top of hay bales and trying to make it feel like that outdoor experience. Again, the whole thing's ridiculous. It's so contrived. It shouldn't be any good at all. But it is my favorite album of all time for a reason. So let's talk a little bit about why it is that this complete mess of an album is a complete masterpiece. Anyway, it begins with The Revealing Science of God, which should have been called The Revealing, but for some reason they extended the name. When they had to cut the song down, it, I guess, was like 26, 28 minutes long originally, so they cut whole giant intro off, which I'm okay with because it starts with that Gregorian chant, which I just love it. I just think that is the best way to start a double album, is with a Gregorian chant, and it's amazing. That was the only side that I actually liked when the album first came out, or at least when I first got it. I actually got into Yes around 74, 75 with Fragile. I fell in love with it. So I went back immediately and got the Yes album. I got Close to the Edge. I got Relayer. Eventually saved up my money, got Yes songs. And then I got Tales from Topographic Oceans. And I was not impressed. I didn't like it. I did, however, like the first side. The Revealing Science of God is the most up-tempo of the four, is the most consistently rock of the four, and it's an amazing track that is pretty easy to love right from the get-go. Side 2, The Remembering, is a real languid, slow building kind of piece. The first 8-9 minutes just is like, oh, where are they going here? I mean, I didn't like it at all. And then it gets to the sprightly Don the Cap section with the little mandolin sounding thing, and that's kind of up-tempo. I dug that. But when that Relayer section comes in, you know what I'm talking about. It's just incredible. When I was a little kid, I'd just skip ahead to that part. Side 3 just completely blew my mind. I wasn't ready for it. I did like the classical guitar part, the Leaves of Green part, but the rest of it just left me baffled. I had not yet encountered the music of King Crimson yet, so I wasn't ready for that. I did follow Bill Bruford to King Crimson in short order, but by the time that happened, I was already into the Tales. I did not get into the Ancient for many years later. The Ritual is side 4. It is an absolute masterpiece, but that weird percussion section, the battle section between pure evil and pure good, I just didn't understand it at all. But then over the years, when I started listening to it over and over and over, and I swear, Yes was my favorite band, so I was not going to give up on Tales. I was going to listen to it over and over until I understood it. I am so glad that I did, because those little repetitive themes, they show up here and there all throughout the album. You even get recalling of Close to the Edge in there. The brilliance of Steve Howe's guitar work cannot be underestimated here. Obviously, this was born of a John Anderson vanity project. He enlisted Steve Howe very early, and most of the music is Steve and John, but a lot of great contributions apparently from Alan, from Rick, and from Chris. But the two of them put this thing together mostly late at night after gigs while they were on tour, and Steve Howe's guitar work throughout Tales is why it is my favorite album of all time. He was kind of a mindset that more is more. The whole band was in a place where they could explore as much as they wanted to. They were on a high. Close to the Edge had done very well. Fragile, the Yes album, had done very well. Their triple album, live album, was doing really, really good. So these guys felt it was time to swing for the fences. And some people can argue that that was a fly ball. I disagree. Those people are entitled to their opinion. They're dead wrong. Tales from Topographic Oceans is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. I love it so much. That's the original. Steven Wilson remastered it, remixed it. That's the cover for it. He did a mighty fine job on it, particularly sides 1, 2, and 3. He actually added a couple measures to side 4, a couple of measures of a Chris Squire bass, so it throws me off a little bit. Other than that, changed the album cover a little bit, but Steven Wilson has referred to Tales from Topographic Oceans as hardcore, yes. And I can't say it any better than that. If you are a fan of the band, you owe it to yourself to go back and try again from start to finish. You can't there's no shortcuts here. You have to do the work to love this album. There's no doubt about it. It's not for the faint of heart. It is the dividing line between the true Yes fans and the wannabes, okay? It is just that simple. You know, Rick Wakeman historically didn't even like this album. While on tour, apparently he was doing takeout and they were bringing chicken curry, and the smell of Indian food is wafting on stage. It was actually chicken vindaloo. We found out years later. He has dissed the album ever since. I love you, Rick, but you are dead wrong, my friend. Dead wrong. And his keyboard... Rick's keyboard work throughout this album is amongst the best things he's ever done. And he didn't appreciate it. He didn't understand the greatness of what he was doing. I will never understand it. I just will not. But to this fan, this was not my introduction to Yes. I had to fight my way. I had to scrap. I had to really work to like this album. So I truly understand those that don't like it. They haven't done the work. That's all I'm saying, because it's the greatest album of all time. I love it to death. This is my love letter to Tales from Topographic Oceans. There is even a Facebook page dedicated to Tales from Topographic Oceans, where they go over every detail of the tour, every detail of the recording, and it's very, very interesting. I recommend you go on there. There's a YouTuber called Michael P. Dawson that's broken this thing down in detail. I recommend you check him out. But I just wanted to tell everybody here, this is kind of me, you know, putting my flag on the hill and letting everybody know who I am and what it's all about. It's all about my love for Tales from Topographic Oceans. We actually just did the last episode was about one of my least favorite Yes albums, so I figured why not do a video about my all-time favorite album, which is also a Yes album, of course. Anyway, if you I was just going to talk about that. My last video, I think I had 317 subscribers. Dude, we are at 419 as I record this. It's going so well. I really appreciate everything. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. But anyway, I am Scott from the Prog Corner, and I will see you guys next time.